What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 36 deadline stream. We are back again with a slight break, but we're back with another deadline stream. Welcome again to all of you. I hope you guys are ready and are kind of pretty excited about this particular week. I think there's a lot to gain, there's a lot to do. Of course, my team right now is not final. I don't know about your team. Do let me know in the comments in the chat if you guys are clear about what is your final transfer. I still have one free transfer remaining. I still have to make that Newcastle forward transfer. We'll kind of see closer to the deadline towards the end whether we get any leaks, any information, and based on that, I think we will make that transfer. So Jota is definitely going out. Jota is definitely not our captain, and he will be going out for one of Isak or Wilson. Sorry. So I think that's my team. But yeah, do let me know if you have any questions. Do let me know if you have anything to ask, anything to check. Of course, stick around for any last minute leaks, last minute lineups. We might get certain information about the Newcastle lineup considering it's the early kickoff, and I think there is a slight chance that we may get certain information about Isak or a Wilson starting. Maybe both of them start this week. But yeah, I think we'll kind of stick around for that. Sorry for the short stream this time around. My throat is a little bit itchy. I might cough, so excuse me for that. But yeah, let's get going, and not a lot of time left. I think about 55 minutes to go. Let's kind of make the best use of this hour and move towards the Game Week 36 week and the games coming up. Hey Devargia, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. So it's Trippier to Estepinian or Botman, Tony to Isak or Guaita to Steele, and Tony to Isak to save money for Rashford on Game Week 37. So, or ignore Rashford and do Tony to Isak and Olise to Odegaard. Again, so to be very honest, I think Rashford this week, of course, can be ignored. I mean, if you have him, you put him on the bench. There's still not a known term in terms of his injury, in terms of how long is he injured for, whether he's injured for a week, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's for the entire season. We still do not know that. But I think if you have Rashford, I think you just keep him. Now, in this particular case, I mean, Trippier to Estepinian Botman doesn't really feel like a great move. Reason being that I think Trippier is still okay for bonus points. He's still on certain set pieces, etc. So I think I personally won't make that move. I think Guaita to Steele and Tony to Isak to save money for Rashford looks a lot better. I mean, Steele will give you at least guaranteed returns when Brighton keep a clean sheet, and I think Tony to Isak is a fairly obvious move. I think a lot of managers will be doing this move, considering the fact that they are looking to get in a Newcastle option, and I think Isak is a pretty safe option. I think if you look at both the picks, right? If you look at Wilson and if you look at Isak in isolation and even compared together, I think Isak is generally going to get a larger chunk of the minutes. So I'm expecting him to probably get about 140, 150 minutes. He gets one start and then maybe he comes off, by playing 60 minutes in the second. So that's my assumption here. Considering the fact that it's it's sort of a midweek game. I mean, it's not exactly midweek, but it's still a game in the middle of the next deadline or the next week. So there's a slight chance that Wilson may get benched for the next one, which is the Brighton game, and may start the Leeds game. So that's a high possibility. And I think if we were to guarantee that, or if we kind of had that information that Wilson's definitely going to start both games, I think in that scenario Wilson's definitely the better option. But considering the fact that I'm pretty skeptical about his minutes, I think a lot of you are as well. I think Isak is a safe option. I think his ownership is definitely going to be a more than 100%. A lot of the managers who are not captaining Haaland, who are not going for Wilson, who do not have the heart to captain a Salah, I think they will be captaining Isak as well. So I think with Isak, you're not really going to go very wrong. I think it's absolutely fine to make this move. You can ignore Rashford, but if he's fine, and I'm assuming that you may not have a Bruno Fernandes in, Martial is not doing anything. There aren't really other attackers from Man United, but you can kind of look at it in one way where you think or you say that United are not doing that great in attack, and I probably can get away without having a United attacker. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine thinking. But I think if Rashford is fine, I think he's definitely going to be a good option. He's the main scorer. We all know that. If United are going to score goals, I think Rashford is going to be among the goals. So I think right now, I think you do Guaita to Steele and then Tony to Isak, and then see what you can kind of do with Rashford. If Rashford is fit, you have that much money in your bank, and then you save that money, get in Rashford if he's fit in 37. I don't know which two to start between Gakpo, Odegaard, and Mahrez. I think I'll start Odegaard and Mahrez. I think they are higher upside picks. Definitely Mahrez. I think Mahrez is a great option. He's a great pick. He's not started the Champions League midweek game. So that means that, I mean, the logic says that he's going to get a start. Again, Pep does Pep things sometimes, and he might again shock us all, surprise us all at the end. But I think going with Mahrez is definitely a good option. Odegaard this week also has great potential. I think he's been in decent form. He's always that sort of a pick where he might score a couple of goals in a couple of games, then he maybe blanks for the next 4 or 5 games. If this was Martinelli, this was the slightly better option, but I still feel Odegaard plus Mahrez is the better combination. I think Liverpool, yes, they're doing okay in attack, but I think most of it is still going to go through, Mo Salah. A lot of it is probably going to come through Jota as well. And we've seen Diaz as well. So I think you can say that for Arsenal as well because of the fact that there's Martinelli, Saka, Jesus. The returns can get shared, but I think Odegaard is in good form. He's a streaky player. We've seen that he gets on these streaks, he scores these goals, and he's on one right now. So I think you won't be going very wrong by going Odegaard. I think Odegaard is a safe option, good option to go for. Hey Sayed, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. A little bit under the weather this time. Had a break, went on a vacation, and then came back and got sick. But hopefully, I'll be fine by next week. I hope you're doing well. Should I play Martinelli or roll or get McAllister for March? I think playing Martinelli is absolutely fine. It kind of depends. So that I think there are a couple of reasons, a couple of pointers you should probably keep in mind. Now, playing Martinelli is great if you are probably chasing in your mini leagues. Maybe you're, let's say, 20, 30 points off 100k, 10k, 50k, 500k, whatever your rank aspiration or your goal is for the end of the season. Maybe you're kind of a little bit away from that and you want to take a little bit of a chance. I think Martinelli is a great option. I think he's going to get minutes. There's a slight chance that, he can always come off and we have Trossard who can take his place. But I think if you're chasing, I think Martinelli is a great option. Now, in case in a scenario, if you are probably leading in your mini leagues, maybe you want to protect your rank or you want to safeguard your rank. I think in that sort of a scenario, you basically take out March and you get in McAllister. I think the March to McAllister option is a very popular option. It has been thought of or considered by a lot of FPL managers. Maybe in your mini leagues also, if you are part of one, I think people might do the same move. So in case if you're protecting rank, in case if you want to safeguard your rank, I think McAllister is a great option. Yes, he has a double this week. He has a double next week. There might be some rotation. I still feel that he's probably going to get majority minutes. And the fact that, he's also been playing in a slightly deeper role. But again, that kind of counters by, the fact that he's also on penalty. So we are getting those penalty points if you're not getting those attack returns. Though he's been quite unlucky. I mean, he's been underperforming his numbers. We know that he's not a clinical finisher. So I think that expectation needs to be tempered. But I think overall, I still feel personally, whatever the case may be, if you ask me, I think I would still go for something like a McAllister just because of the volume of the games and also because of the fact that Brighton are a very elite attack. I mean, even against the tougher teams, they've been doing well. Arsenal, Newcastle, yes, they're good teams, but their defenses have struggled over the past few weeks. They're not keeping those many clean sheets. And I know Brighton look a bit leggy, they look a bit tired, but a one dodgy penalty, maybe a goal, and he can easily give you a 15-20 points. So I think you do the McAllister to March to McAllister, sorry, that transfer, I think you should be absolutely fine and set for next week as well. Play Ruben Diaz or bring Enciso for -4. It depends if you're taking a lot of risk, if you're basically going aggressive. I don't think so. Ruben Diaz is a player who will probably give you more than 6 points, maybe 7 to 8 points on a very good day, where he probably gets among the bonus points as well. Enciso is a risk because of the fact that he may get limited minutes. Yes, he's gonna get minutes, but does he start one? Does he start both? Does he come off the bench from both games? That's the risk that you take. It's also for a hit, so he'll probably have to do even more to kind of justify this hit because of the fact that there aren't a lot of weeks to kind of get over this or take advantage of this hit. Right now, next week, yes, Enciso does have a double, but then are you locking yourself out of a third sure shot starter? Are you locking yourself out of a fifth midfielder? I think these are some considerations that you have to take. I'm assuming Enciso might be your third forward. So who are your other two forwards? I'm assuming, again, one of the forwards would be Haaland. And if you go for somebody like an Isak, for example, who are you going to bench in Game Week 37? So these are certain considerations to take. I still feel I personally won't take that hit for Enciso. I think there are probably better directions to look at. But yeah, again, if you're massively chasing and if you're going all out, I think that's the move then. Otherwise, maybe not. Thoughts on March and Greenwood to Ferguson and Martinelli Odegaard? Ferguson, again, like Enciso, is probably going to get limited minutes. I don't think so. He's fit to start, but I don't think so he starts both games. And I don't think so he's going to play 19 both, right? So, yes, he's going to get minutes. Yes, he's a differential, but you have to temper the expectation there. You can get somebody like a Martinelli Odegaard absolutely fine. I think Martinelli is still the better option for me. In case if you're chasing, I think, or in case if you want to go a little bit aggressive, I think these are good options. But there's a risk involved with Ferguson, and just be aware of that risk. Just be conscious of that risk, and that you are taking a risk in terms of minutes. You're not getting a nailed player who might get nailed, who might be fine for 37. But again, for 36, I still feel he's probably gonna play somewhere around 120, 130 minutes. Kepa, Trippier captain, Trent, Shaw, Estupinian, me, Olise, Martinelli, Salah, Haaland, Wilson. How about this playing 11? Looks pretty solid. I think me and Olise are probably options which aren't ideal, but I think Brentford this week should be okay. Plus, I think Olise again, Crystal Palace have good fixtures, but I still feel better options right now are Eze and maybe a Panti Zaha. I think those are the options to go for, but I think overall this team looks pretty fine. Relation Stone, rotation risk. I have both. I think both are at the risk of rotation for sure. I still feel it's not a given that Man City is going to win against Everton. I mean, Everton can spring a couple of surprises in, and Man City still have to win their games to ensure that they win the league, right? So I still feel Grealish is probably, maybe Stones is a option who's more likely to start, and maybe he can come off at halftime, maybe 60 minutes. But yeah, both of them are rotation risk for sure. If I had the option of playing one, I think I'll still play Grealish. I'll play him ahead of Stones because of the higher upside. But in case if you want to go safe, maybe go Stones. But I still feel Grealish is the better option to go for. I'm a little bit skeptical about Steele since his own goal. I mean, own goals don't happen every week, to be very honest. Then, I mean, they can happen this week as well. But I think he did save a penalty as well. So, look at the bright side. I think he's going to get minutes for Brighton. I think, this week is a bit risky in terms of clean sheets. I'm not really expecting Brighton to keep one, but maybe against teams like Arsenal and Newcastle who do take a lot of shots, he may make a lot of saves, and he ends up maybe getting a few save points as well. So I think he's absolutely fine. You don't need to worry about it. But yeah, clean sheets are looking a bit tricky this week. Is David De Gea in and Edison out worth it? Because Man United have a double game week. United have a double game week, but they aren't really keeping clean sheets. Their defense looks a bit dodgy. The overall team looks a bit leggy. David De Gea has been making a lot of mistakes. I don't think so. He loses his place anyways, but I still feel the stats might say otherwise, or the numbers for the next week might say otherwise. But I still am not very confident about somebody like a David De Gea. I think keeping Edison in. I mean, unless you really have to make this move to basically get in a different transfer, maybe getting money for a different move. I don't think so. You need to do this transfer because Edison also has a double, and I think it's fine double as well. Can I take triple captain Isak this week or save Haaland for next week? I think I'll take my chances of Haaland next week. I think next week is a slightly better week for Man City assets, for Man City options, because of the fact that the Champions League game would have been concluded. I'm expecting Haaland to play the majority of the Champions League game against Real Madrid, but I still feel there's a high chance that Haaland, starts both, plays about 60 minutes again, depending on the result, depending on what Man City is doing in the game. I think he's probably going to get 130, 140 minutes, something around that, across the two games. And I think Man City is Man City, right? I mean, they're the best attack in the league. Haaland is the best forward in the league. He's the best FPL player in the game. So I think you just wait for him. Again, in a scenario where the only scenario where I'll probably take a chance with Isak is maybe you have a rival, for example, in your mini league who also has a triple captain left and who may use it, in, let's say, next week, for example. Then by using it this week, you can probably differentiate from that person, but I don't think so. In most of the scenarios, I'll probably be going for Isak triple captain this week. I'll be going for Haaland triple captain next week. Thank you, Bilal. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you for all the love. Really appreciate it. Should I bring Willock for March instead of McAllister? I mean, you can. If you have a Newcastle spot open, I think Willock is probably the better option. I know a lot of people are showing love to Joe Linton, but I still feel, because of the fact that Longstaff is injured, Joe Linton might play in a slightly deeper, slightly defensive role. And generally, we've seen that Willock is the more attacking midfielder out of the two, and I think Willock has decent potential. He's been garnering decent numbers, and I think he's been taking a lot of shots, and I think he definitely can score goals. So I think if you're looking to go aggressive, if you're looking to go or take a punt, basically, I think Willock is a great option instead of McAllister. But if your strategy is to play safe, to protect rank, to protect your lead in a mini league, for example, I think in that scenario, you probably consider McAllister. But I think Willock is also fine. Willock doesn't have a double next week. So if you are looking for a player who also basically gives you, a triple, basically an additional fixture next week, and you have that, Brighton spot open, because I generally feel that, March also won't start both games next week, so there might be some limited minutes there as well. In that scenario, you probably go McAllister, but I think Willock, again, going super aggressive, I think is a good option. Hey Soumya, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. I can't afford March and Alvarez to McAllister and Isak. What to do? I mean, try to take out money. I'm not sure what your overall team is or where your money is stacked up, but try to basically take out money from maybe one of your defenders, maybe one of your attackers. I don't know if you have Kane, maybe you have Salah. I don't know what your other team or your overall team is, but try to see who can be the cash cow in your team, basically who can give you a lot of money, that by selling him, you have this additional money and you basically, make this move. I don't think so. Alvarez to Isak is a must to do move. I think Alvarez in isolation is a good option this week. I think he's a good high upside punt. Maybe look at a different route to get an Isak. Take out a different player who's slightly more expensive and then get this money to do these moves. I think that unless I really know your other players and the entire team, I won't be able to pinpoint where to kind of get in money from. From your team is Kepa, Trippier, Botman, Estupinian, Trent, McAllister, Salah, Mitoma, Isak, Haaland. Confused Grealish and Shaw, whom to start. I think I'll still start Grealish. I'll take that chance. He's an attacker. He's playing for Man City. There's a slight chance that he starts this week. And I mean, United definitely don't look that great. They don't look great in defense. Shaw playing centre back is not good for his FPL potential. He's really, really good. When he's playing in that left, fullback role. And I think most likely it's not going to happen. And him playing centre back, of course, he's not gonna, he might still be on set pieces, but he's not gonna be, taking those aggressive forward runs. He's not gonna be crossing the ball like he does when he's playing in that, left back role. And that is also not great for his bonus points potential. So we are completely relying on United getting a clean sheet, which I'm not very comfortable and I'm not very confident of. So I think I'll still, irrespective of, Grealish basically being a minutes risk, I'll still take my chance with the Grealish and I'll start him over Shaw this week. Is Rashford completely ruled out for this week? I mean, he's, according to Ten Hag, he's not ruled out, but I think it's a very difficult position for Rashford to start, which kind of means that he's definitely out for this week. I mean, I think Ten Hag didn't want to give that exact confirmation about Rashford, because he's a very important player for Man United. He's probably the best attacker for United right now, and maybe giving Wolves something to think about in terms of whether he starts, whether he maybe plays in the second half, maybe comes on as a sub, plays about 20-30 minutes. But I generally think that Rashford is not going to start. I know a lot of people are saying that he may start, he may get 90 or he may get 0, but I don't see a scenario, or maybe in a parallel universe, I see him starting and playing for 90 minutes. Considering that the update is so strong, I'm not very sure. Unless Ten Hag is absolutely playing poker and, he's maybe on something else and we can't really understand that. I don't see a scenario where Rashford is playing. So I think he's gonna miss the whole game. Martinelli or McAllister, and thoughts on Watkins captain. I won't captain Watkins. I think they're better options to go for. You can go for the Newcastle forwards. You can go for the Brighton mids. You can go for Salah. You can go for Haaland. I think there's so many good options to go for in terms of captaincy this week. I still feel, going for Watkins is probably not worth it. He's blanked in the last few games. I mean, that doesn't really say that he's blank. He's going to blank this week as well. Tottenham at home could be a tricky game, but I think they're just better options to go for in terms of, in terms of captaincy. The first part of the question is Martin or McAllister. I think depends. If you're chasing, I think Martin is a better option. In case if you are playing safe, in case if you're looking for an option for 37 as well, who doubles, I think McAllister is a great pick. He's going to play in a slightly deeper role, definitely way more deeper than what Martinelli plays. The potential is definitely high with Martinelli. Arsenal has good fixtures. I don't see a scenario where, he's rotated massively. He's already gotten his rest over the past few weeks. And I think if chasing, I think Martinelli is probably the better option to go for. But yeah, in case if you want to play safe, in case you probably don't have a bench cover and you don't have a proper playing 11, I think in that scenario, you basically go for McAllister. Trent, Shaw, Alvarez, bench one. I'll bench Shaw. I'll play Trent and Alvarez. Trent because of the fact that he's in great form. I know Liverpool can always lose the clean sheet. I know that they might might concede, but I think Trent in this attacking form, I mean, he looks like he's going to score in every game. He's on set pieces. I don't think so. He's ever going to be on penalties, but I still feel there's a goal in him, and I think it's coming. I think it could be this week. The fixture is really good. Leicester's quite leaky. I mean, they concede a lot of goals, so I think there is a lot of potential. In Trent getting a massive haul this week. Alvarez as well. I think he's a high upside punt. I don't think so there's any worth in benching Alvarez and playing Shaw because, as I said earlier, with Shaw, the upside is very limited. Either you're going to get 6 points or you're going to get 2 or maybe lesser points as well, right? With Alvarez, even if he comes off the bench against an Everton team, I know it's an away fixture for City, but I think even coming from the bench, Alvarez can get in a haul, get in a goal or two. And I think if he starts, of course, you're putting yourself in a position to, get majority points from Alvarez. Whatever City do, I think there's going to be some rotation, but I think Alvarez is definitely going to start this game because the fact that, he's not featured in the Champions League. And I don't think so. There is a plan to start him in the Champions League second leg against Real Madrid. So I think he's going to start this game. I think there's a lot of potential. So play Trent and play Alvarez. Trent, Shaw, Estupinian, bad. Double, I expect, like not more than 2 points. Alvarez, start 2. If you have to start 2, I'll still take my chances and start Trent and Alvarez. I think, I personally don't think so. Estupinian is going to keep a single clean sheet. Yes, there's a chance that maybe he gets an attack in return, but I think I'll still take my chances with an attacker. I'm an aggressive manager. I like to think that, the attacker would outscore the defender in most scenarios. And I think Alvarez against against Everton, playing for Man City, I think has good potential. So Trent and Alvarez for the 2. Botman or Share. Out of the 2, for sure, Share. Better attacking threat. I think both are nailed. Share is good for attacking threat. He can score a goal. He can get assists. He's better for bonus points as well. I don't think so there's a huge difference in bonus points for both, but I think Share definitely is the better option to go for. Hey Brian, hello to you. Do you think Diaz in Gaming 37 is better than no Diaz, but 2 free transfers in Gaming 38? I necessarily don't think so. A Man City defender is essential, despite the okay fixtures for Man City. I think we can get away without having a Man City defender. They're facing Chelsea and they're facing Brighton, so it's not. I mean, Chelsea maybe they can keep a clean sheet. Brighton away could be a tricky game, and considering the fact that they're not keeping a lot of clean sheets and they are conceding that odd goal in most of the games that they're playing, I mean, it's okay to not have Ruben Diaz. I think having 2 free transfers in Gaming 38 could actually be gold because the fact that you might be in a position where you're very, very close to your mini league rivals. Maybe you are very close to a set rank that you have in mind, and having 2 free transfers, maybe even taking a hit in the last week and going massively chasing, massively aggressive. I think that could be great. I mean, you could go for really good punts depending on, of course, the game state, the league state, and what's happening in the league by that point. I think having 2 free transfers is absolutely fine. I'd probably prefer that. I would be benching Isak if I got Diaz. I don't think so. You need to double up on the Man City defense, especially when you have Edison as well. I mean, I personally won't even have Edison, to be very, very honest. I'll rather go for triple City attack if I'm really going aggressive. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to get Diaz. No, it's not required here. Raya to Iverson, Botman to a 4.4 defender, Greenwood to Wilson, meaning March out next week. March to McAllister, Botman to Share, which means no Wilson. March and Greenwood to Ferguson, an Arsenal player. I still think I'll go with Wilson, basically a Newcastle attacker. Yes, you are letting go of Botman and you're basically going for a 4.4 defender who's probably not doubling this week, but I think I prefer the Newcastle attacker over the Newcastle defense. And I think it's absolutely fine. You're managing your funds. You don't have to go for an Arsenal option again. Unless you're really chasing, I don't think so. You need to, go for an Arsenal option. I think Wilson himself is a great option. I think he's going to be a decent differential. I know a lot of people have bought him this week, but I still feel there is a good differential element about Wilson. I think he's a great pick. Whom to captain to save my mini league rank? Haaland, Isak, or Salah. If you're playing safe, if you're trying to protect your lead, etc., you go Haaland. In fact, you can even go Isak. I think Isak and Haaland are probably going to be the 2 most popular captaincy options. In a scenario you're massively chasing, you go Salah, but I still feel Haaland and Isak are better options. I think you choose one of the 2 options. In case if you're going very, very safe, go Haaland. In case you're slightly okay going aggressive, I think go Isak. Now, if you already have Isak, again, my kind of answer comes down to the same thing, whether you're chasing in the game or whether you're basically protecting rank. Because if you're protecting rank, Isak in isolation is absolutely fine. You don't need to double up to get in Wilson, but Isak and Wilson could be a great double this week. The only issue with both of them is what are you going to do with them next week? Are you going to play both of them? Are you going to bench one? And there could be a little bit of a worry there. So I think in that scenario, and in case if you don't want that headache, and considering that you already have Isak, you basically do March to McAllister, and then you do Botman to Share. I think both are really good options. McAllister is a great pick, is a safe pick, is a smart pick, and Share is definitely the better option out of Botman and Share. So I think you, in this scenario where you already have Isak, I don't think you need to double up unless you're really chasing in the game. What if Wilson doesn't start? There's a high chance that Wilson maybe doesn't start one game, but that's the risk you take. Despite of not starting, I mean, out of the 5 goals that he scored recently, 2 of them have come from the bench. So he has shown that there is good potential for Wilson or in him to basically come from the bench and score goals. When he's on the pitch, he's definitely going to be in a more central position. He's going to be closer to the goal. And if Isak is also on the pitch, Isak is definitely going to drift on the left side. That kind of enhances his overall goal involvement potential, his assist potential, but not necessarily his goal scoring output, right? So going by that logic, I think I'll come to the same thing again. If you are chasing, if you're going aggressive, you get in Wilson and Isak. Otherwise, the safer play or the more logical play here is to go March to McAllister and Botman to Share. I have 2 free transfers. Should I go for Jota to Willock? Jota to Willock, Grealish to Mahrez, forced transfer from March to McAllister. I mean, Jota is a forward, so I mean, who will be the forward that will be getting? I'm assuming it's Wilson and not Willock. I mean, if it's Jota to Wilson or Isak, I think it's absolutely fine. Grealish to Mahrez I mean, you don't have to make the Grealish to Mahrez move unless it's to basically get you cash or something. I don't even think that's going to be the idea behind this transfer. You don't need to do Grealish to Mahrez. Mahrez might start this week, might get benched next week. Grealish might get benched this week, might start next week. So I think it's probably going to get evened out. So don't make this Grealish to Mahrez move. Jota to maybe a Wilson if that's Wilson, and March to McAllister if the money is fine without a hit. I think is absolutely okay. Thoughts on this team? Kepa, Trent, Estupinian, Botman, Salah, Mitoma, McAllister, Grealish, Isak, Haaland. Bench, Edison, Solanke, Shaw, Rashford would have 1 free transfer, 1.2 million in the bank. So Trippier, Botman is basically double Newcastle. You're playing Estupinian, Mitoma, McAllister is fine. Grealish, Isak, Haaland. I don't necessarily see a move that you need to make. Absolutely. I mean, you have decent bench cover as well with Solanke and Shaw. Just save the free transfer and bank 2 for next week. Maybe you can take a punt, on a United player. I don't see Shaw in this team. I do see Shaw. I mean, you can maybe take a punt on a different Man City option. I see one spot open for a Man City option. I mean, you have Haaland and Grealish. You can maybe go for a third attacker. You can maybe go for a third defender, the first defender and the third option in Man City. But through this team, I don't necessarily see any great play or any transfer to make. I think it's absolutely fine to keep this as is and play this team. Another reason I want 2 free transfers because I never take hits in game 38, even though this approach cost me a few times. I mean, you can take a hit in 38. It may or may not come off. There's a risk for sure, but 2 free transfers in 38 definitely gives you a little bit of an edge in terms of going a bit aggressive and taking one last punt or the last game big punt. What if Wilson doesn't start? I kind of already addressed this. There's a chance that he doesn't, but even if he comes from the bench, I think there's a good chance that he gets you decent points. I have Raya, Botman, Trippier, Shaw, Estupinian, Salah, Mitoma, March, Bruno, Rashford, Haaland, Alvarez, Kandu, March, Alvarez. Okay, so this is the whole team. Kandu, March, Alvarez, Tumkas, Isak. Shall I sell Trent? I mean, I know it's not ideal. Maybe downgrade Bruno and then get him back next week is one option. Maybe take out Rashford right now and get in McAllister this week. See what happens with Rashford next week. You can do Bruno to Rashford next week as well. I think out of the two, Rashford is definitely the better option. I don't think so. You need to sell Trent. Trent is in great form. He's definitely better than Estupinian, better than Shaw right now. I could even argue that he's better than Trippier at the moment. So I won't take a -8. I think you can take out Rashford, get in, McAllister, and just see if you have enough money to, maybe go Alvarez to Isak. I think in case if you want to get money, I think Bruno to McAllister is also an option, and then you can switch again next week in case if the issue is that there's March as well, so that's the thing. I mean, you can bench March, but then that's also not ideal. um I think the major money or the chunk of the money can come from basically Bruno, right? I don't think so Alvarez needs to be sold. So maybe if this was me, I'm okay selling Bruno as well. I know a lot of people are very heavy on Bruno because of the fact that he's been doing well, but those performances haven't really been translated into FPL returns, and I think Rashford is still the more superior asset. So in case if I want to get in money right now, I still think, and I know it's not the popular opinion and you may have a different opinion, but I still probably would sell Bruno and get the money right now. Get in a get in a McAllister and basically see what I can do, or try to get in Bruno next week, maybe by even selling Salah. I mean, that's also an option. But yeah, I don't think so. I'll basically sell Trent to get in a -8. And again, the scenario here is that in case if you're chasing, right, I personally won't do that. In case if you are going safer, in case if you're basically protecting your rank in your mini leagues and all, then I think Isak is probably a must-have, because majority of the people would be going for one of Isak or Wilson. I think in that scenario, you'll probably have to sell Trent and then take a hit. It's not ideal because I still value Trent a lot, but if that's the only way you can, get in a Isak, you go for that move. Should I sell Grealish for Bruno in preparation for double game week next week? Can't sell Grealish playing both. I still think it's okay. I still feel Grealish will most likely start both games. He may not start this week, but I have a feeling that he'll start both in gaming 37. So I personally won't do the move right now. So I think it's fine. You basically take the decision next week. Don't make the move this week. Should I roll my transfer of Isak or wait a bit? I mean, I think about 20-25 minutes to go. I don't think so. We've had any leaks so far. We quickly check again. Yeah, I don't think so. There are any leaks. I'll still, I mean, maybe wait for another 10 minutes, and then after that 10-15 minutes, and if no leaks come, just go with Isak. Isak is the more logical option here. Let me just quickly check again if we have anything. Newcastle team news not likely to be early. Does come. Yeah, I mean, we haven't got any concrete information. So just wait for maybe about 5, 10, 15 minutes. We still have about 20 odd minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then make the move. Kepa, Stones, Trippier, Botman, Mac, Mitoma, Martinelli, Grealish, Wilson, Haaland, Kane, Ben Trash, or White Trashy. Any changes, any swapping? I don't think so. I think it's a pretty strong team. Just keep it. Maybe, I mean, I still have a feeling that Chelsea are going to concede, and Raya can still get you safe points. So maybe play Raya, but I think overall, I mean, if you have a feeling about Kepa and maybe him keeping a clean sheet, absolutely go for it. But I still think Kepa is probably going to concede. So that's probably the only change. Otherwise, it's a very solid team. I currently have 2 free transfers available, but limited funds. I'm considering bringing in Isak, but it will cost me a -4 hit. If I decide to bring in Isak, I plan on captaining him this week and potentially bringing on a City asset in gaming 37. This way, I'll only have one transfer in gaming 38, and even though I won't play Isak in gaming 38, I can still have him on my team for 36 and 37. However, if I don't bring in Isak this week, I'll have 2 free transfers and won't be taking -4, which is absolutely fine. The downside to that is that I'll rely on other players to captain my team. I think, to be honest, it's okay to take a hit and get an Isak. I think he's going to be a popular captaincy option. I think his ownership is definitely going to be more than 100%. And you probably don't want to go against that unless you really, really, maybe you, I mean, if you're chasing, etc., and if you are maybe depending on the last week to, make up for this deficit that Isak can probably give you this week, I think, I personally don't think so. It's worth all of that. You take a -4 and you get in Isak, it's fine. I mean, I understand that the temptation is to basically save that transfer and basically have two free transfers for 38 so that you can take a few punts. But I think you can make one transfer anyway, and then you can also take a hit. I think if it's a player that you really believe in, if you have a gut feel about him, and you feel that he's gonna do really well, I mean, you can also take that hit. I know it's hits are generally seen, across multiple games, and whether it kind of comes off or not, it's a huge risk. But even with two transfers, you're probably taking in a player who is also a risk, right? I know you're not taking a hit for that particular player, but I think it's absolutely fine. The loss that you may get from Isak this week, considering the fact that a lot of people are going to captain him, I think could be a lot more than what you will probably gain by that one additional transfer in game week 38. Additionally, I'm chasing 16 points in my mini league, and my opponent has Isak. This makes me considering. I mean, if you're chasing, I think it's not the ideal situation because you probably would want to go a bit aggressive. But in this scenario, if your mini league rival is having Isak and most likely he's going to captain Isak, I think you just get an Isak and you don't go through all that headache. To be honest, I think it's okay. I know it's -4 is not ideal and it's a hit, and a lot of people might say that you don't need to take a hit for Isaac, but I think there's a lot of potential. I think he outscores Wilson, especially in terms of minutes, and maybe that those additional minutes also translate to more FPL points at the end of the game week 36 week. So I think if your rival has it, you definitely should have him, captain him this week. Your rival is also going to captain him, and just play it safe here. Try to see how you can make those gains in 36, 37, and 38. As you mentioned that you're probably going to get a Man City option in 37. Maybe try to get that gain from there, or even take a hit in game week 38 and try to see what you can do. Because ultimately, if you are 14 odd points behind, maybe you let's assume that you're also the same points or the same deficit next week, right? You may have to take a couple of, maybe a hit, maybe may have to take, get in a transfer which is not the regular transfer, which is not very popular, to basically lower that deficit. So I think it's absolutely fine. Much replacements, Mac or any Arsenal mid who's better. I think the straightforward replacement is McAllister. I think you're not really taking a lot of risk with McAllister. I think it's a safe option. In case if you're going safe, protecting rank, I think McAllister is the one to go for. Now, in case if you're chasing, right, and in case if you, maybe let's say you're betting against McAllister, maybe your rival has McAllister, maybe he's planning to get in McAllister, you have that hunch. I think an Arsenal mid is an absolute fine option. Yes, the number of fixtures are definitely lesser. I mean, they're playing 3 fixtures, whereas Brighton has 5 fixtures. So that's the difference. But I think someone like a Martinelli can easily match, if not outscore, a McAllister. So I think maybe even outscore McAllister. Who knows, right? So I think depends on your mini league state or your overall rank state, your risk appetite. If you're okay taking a bit of a risk, I think the Arsenal mids are definitely being overlooked, and I think Martinelli is a decent option to go for. I can't do Rashford to McAllister because I have 3 Brighton players. Can't sell Rashford, Bruno for Mac, as you said, because I have 3 Brighton players. So you'll probably have to sell Mac. Let me just revisit your team. Yeah, so Estupinian, March, and Mitoma. Then in that scenario, you'll probably have to take out. It's not ideal, but you have to take out Trent. Taking out Trent and funding, Mac and Isak for a -8, it just looks a bit off. But in case this is how you probably get to this team, I think that's what you have to do, and take a -8, take out Trent, and then get in McAllister and Isak. I think that should be okay. And it's not ideal, but then I don't see any other way of basically making these moves stick. I mean, one option is to basically taking out Salah, but I think Salah is still a better option than a Trent, so just take out Trent. KDB Jota to Salah Isak for -4. I think I'll do it. No problem with that. I know KDB has a double next week. Salah doesn't. But I think overall it should be fine. KDB may not even play majority minutes in the double. May get a bit of a rest as well. Especially if Man City do get through. I think he will get minutes, but I think there will be some shared minutes as well. Fernandes, McAllister, and cheap attacker, or Wilson, McAllister, cheap defender. I still like the Wilson, McAllister plus a cheap defender option. I don't know who this cheap defender or who that cheap attacker is. And Steele or Kepa. I think Steele is the better option to go for. Yeah, Wilson plus McAllister, I still feel looks better than Fernandes plus McAllister. I mean, I know a lot of people have gotten Fernandes or do rate Fernandes a lot, but I still feel Wilson can definitely outscore Fernandez when we look at the next two or three, number of games. Did you buy Isak? I haven't yet. Let me just see if there's any news. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, I still don't see any leak. If you have any information about any leak lineups, etc., do let me know as well. But yeah, I don't see anything at all. Minus for Botman, I won't do it. May not keep may keep a clean sheet, but then you're negating that with a -4. I won't take a -4 for Botman. Mitoma Wilson to captain. I think Wilson is the better option. Mitoma will get you more minutes, but I think Wilson is the more explosive pick out of the two. Wilson may get limited minutes, but I think he's shown that even if he comes from the bench, I think he's a good option, or a good pick to go for. David Gea, Steele, definitely Steele, the better option. David Gea not in good form. United and pretty leaky, pretty average. They look leggy. Not very confident about David Gea. Who's starting is Saka Wilson. Haven't seen anything online. Let me just quickly refresh it again. About 15 minutes to go. Yeah, I don't see anything. I think we'll probably just take a chance with Isak, and just keep him, just put him in our 11. We'll just keep the transfer ready in case if the servers go down, etc. Bruno in for Rashford on a free hit. I mean, yeah, why not? On a free hit, Bruno is absolutely fine this week. Any clarity of Wilson Isak? Right now, nothing. Also, we cap that player too, or Haaland remains the captain. Most likely it's going to be Isak coming in and Isak being the captain. Who's my captain right now? Right now, I mean, it's not. It was on Jota for sure, but of course Jota is not going to be my captain. I think it's going to be the player I basically get in for Jota, which is one of Isak or Wilson. Most likely it's going to be Isak. Looks like that, and Isak is also going to be my captain. Kepa looks like the better keep in the team. West Ham is in great form. Also, why Ben Shaw? Limited potential. I still want to take a chance on with Grealish. He may get a start, and if he gets a start, I think Everton is a good fixture. Wolves generally don't score a lot of goals, but United don't really look in any sort of form. Shaw might most likely is going to play centre back, and I think the upside is not very high. I mean, it's probably going to be 6 points, and I think Grealish probably can outscore that. Foden or Grealish. I mean, this week maybe Foden. Overall, definitely Grealish. Pick two of Isak, Wilson, and Botman. I don't even think it's a conversation. I think it's Isak and Wilson out of the three options. Do you think Edison will play Gaming 38? May not play Gaming 30 unless City are still playing to win the league, still fighting to win the league. Maybe he gets benched. Maybe attempt to get Ward as my tempted to get Ward. As my funding move for McAllister. Also a safe shout, but 0.1 more. I mean, you can get Ward, it's fine. Not an issue. He's not going to play, so I think it's absolutely fine. Please comment and pin the transfer as you do it. Also, please mention it as cap. Let me just quickly do it as well. Don't think so. We haven't seen anything at all. So don't think we will get any leaks. I think we'll just get an Isak. Yeah, we'll just make the move. So Isak comes in. The transfer is confirmed. Captaincy is also confirmed on Isak. Yeah. Let me just change the team here as well. It should be fine now. I think Isak, yeah. The team has changed. It's basically now Isak in, Isak is captain. We've made the move. Yeah, it's confirmed. 2.6 million in the bank. No free transfers. Of course, one free transfer next week. So yeah, we basically had two, and we used them on McAllister and Isaac this week. Start Lenore Kepa. I mean, Fulham generally don't keep a lot of clean sheets, but Southampton, I think I'll still start Kepa. I'll take my chances with Kepa. Not very sure, but I'll still take my chances with Kepa. Thoughts on Willock? Really good option. If you're chasing, I think he's a great pick. Not a lot of people are gonna go for a Willock or a Joelinton. I think the ideal situation here is, or the general situation here is Trippier plus Trippier, Botman or Share, and then one of Isak or Wilson. A lot of people are also trying to go towards Isak, Wilson, and then a Trippier. So I think Newcastle mids are definitely being overlooked, and you can definitely go for Willock. I think he's a great pick if you're chasing, if you're going aggressive. I think it's a great option. Grealish plays or not, I mean, there's a slight chance that he gets benched, considering the fact that he's most likely to gonna get a start against Real Madrid in the Champions League game as well. So maybe he gets benched. I think I'm okay taking that chance, taking that risk. If I take Isak, can he be kept for the last 2 weeks? I mean, for sure. I mean, he can definitely be kept for the last 2 weeks. You can keep him on the bench in case if you have other players to play. You can even change him to an Alvarez, for example, in case if you have a third slot, a second, third slot open for Man City, for an attacker, for a forward. I think you can take that switch as well. So there is an option. But I mean, Newcastle against Leicester in 37, and then Newcastle last week against Chelsea are all playable games. You can even play Isak in the last 2 weeks if you want to do that. I think that's also absolutely fine. Isak comes in, yes, and he is the captain as well, yes. So Isak in as a transfer, and he's the captain as well. Let me just quickly update that on Instagram as well. We'll still see. I mean, I don't think so. We're getting any news or any leaks, but we'll just quickly see that again. Welbeck or Ferguson. I think if you're going for one option, I think Ferguson is still the better option to go for. I mean, it's a bit tricky with all the Brighton strikers because Enciso can play in that position. We've already seen that. Ferguson looks like Ferguson's going to get a start. Welbeck can also start there. So it's a bit of a risk, but I think if I'm still going for one of the options, I think Ferguson is definitely much better in terms of overall quality. I think De Zerbi definitely would prefer Ferguson in that striker spot ahead of Welbeck or Enciso or anyone else. So for that matter, I think Ferguson definitely starts one game, maybe comes off the bench in the first one. But I think he's probably, if you're punting, you see both of them at the end of the day are punts, right? So if you're punting, might as well just take a punt on Ferguson here instead of Welbeck. Just update the team here. Yep, so we've done that. Do let me know if you have any last minute questions, anything that you want to check. We still have about 7 or 8 minutes to go. Wilson or Isak, I think I'm assuming that we're not getting any news, or we haven't got any news so far. No Newcastle, yeah, no Newcastle news from team news and tick, so we're not getting anything for the Newcastle team. I think it's absolutely fine. If you basically want to go safe, you go Isak. I think he's a safe option. I think he definitely outscores Wilson for minutes among both fixtures. And but you can keep him on the bench. You can play him in 36, 30, 37, 38 as well. In case in a scenario where you're massively chasing, if you are chasing the upside, if you're trying to fight against your mini league rivals and you are behind, in that scenario maybe go for Wilson and captain him. But otherwise, I think Isak is the safer and the more logical pick out of the two. Start Martinelli, Shaw, or Watkins. If I have to start one, I'll start Martinelli. If I have to start two, I'll start Martinelli and Watkins. I think I'm okay benching Shaw this week. And this is not the pessimistic United fan in me. I think I generally feel that United won't keep a clean sheet. Jordan or Willock, I think Willock is the slightly better option. He's going to play in a slightly more advanced role, considering the fact that Longstaff is injured and Jolinton is probably expected to play in a slightly deeper midfield role. I think that pushes Willock a little bit ahead as well. And I think both are going to play in some central positions, but I think Willock is the more attacking option. Both have got decent numbers, but I think if I'm choosing one, I think Willock is the option to go for right now. Cool. 5 minutes to go, guys. Please make sure that you save your teams. I don't think so. We're gonna get any leaks for the Newcastle lineup. So I think it's fine. You basically make your team. Yeah, I mean most of the people who generally do leaks haven't really confirmed, and they have confirmed they're not gonna give any Newcastle news around the lineup. So I think thoughts on Murphy. I mean, there's still a risk with rotation because Almiron can also play in that position. So I personally won't take a chance. I think it's okay. You have better options in a in a Willock, for example. I don't think so. They may be similar in terms of price. Let me just quickly check that. But I think overall output, definitely Willock looks like the better option. And Willock is 4.7, Murphy is 4.2. In case if you're heavily saving money, I think that's the only reason I'll probably go for a Willock. But for a Murphy, sorry. But I think overall, Willock is absolutely fine. Solanke or Dallo, I mean, I think Dallo does start, but against Crystal Palace, it could be a tricky game for Solanke, but I'll still start Solanke. I mean, I don't hate Man United. I have nothing against them. That's a club I love and support. But I'm not very confident about United's potential. I'm actually very worried about. I still feel that we may just edge the game, or United might just win it by maybe a goal. Maybe it's a 1-1 draw as well. I won't be surprised if it's actually a 1-1 draw. But yeah, no news. Apologies and sorry for that. But I think there is not any news or any leak in terms of uh, Newcastle options and basically the Newcastle lineup. So I think just follow your gut. If you're chasing, if you're going aggressive, go Wilson. If you basically want to go safer, you go Isak. I'm thinking to get Pascal Gross. What do you think? I mean, Pascal Gross is a good option. He may not be the most explosive options because of the fact that he's playing in a right back role, and I don't think so. He's going to be. I mean, he is on certain set pieces, but he's not going to be on penalties. Maybe if McAllister's not on the pitch, he gets on those pens. Overall, I still feel McAllister is a better option. But again, if you have your mini league rivals playing McAllister, having McAllister and playing McAllister, I think, and you're chasing, in that scenario, you go for Pascal Gross. But I think overall, McAllister is the better option. I got Grealish and Murphy, whom to start. I'll take my chance with Murphy, and I'll start him just because of the fact that Grealish is also not nailed and he may get benched. Plan for Gaming 37. I'll come to that in just a bit. We'll just quickly finish off the questions first. Start Grealish or Gakpo. I'll take my chances with the Grealish. Do you think Isak will start both games? I generally think that Isak will start both games. One game, maybe if Wilson gets benched. See, if I still don't think Isak and Wilson are going to start both together. If they start both together, Wilson plays central, Isak plays on the left. If Isak just starts, by himself, he's in the central role, of course, and then maybe Newcastle play one of, they can play Gordon, they can also play ASM in that role. So I think overall, I still feel Isak starts both. Both Isak and Wilson, going Wilson captain. That's fine. That's great. It's actually a great option still. Aggressive option, risky option, but I think he's still a good option. Plans for Gaming 37. So I think right now I do have 2 City, I have 2 United, and I have 3 Brighton. So plus Kepa is also there, who has a double. I mean, it's not really worth considering him as a double gaming player because of the fact that the fixtures against Man City and Man United. but I think he still is a double game week player. So I think the idea here is to basically get in more of City. There's one spot open for City and maybe take a punt on a United player for 37. That would be the ideal strategy, but I'll come to players in just a bit. Kepa or Johnston? I'll start Kepa. Do you think Enciso will get enough minutes? I mean, I don't know what enough minutes means, but he doesn't get both starts for sure. He starts one, maybe gets benched in the second one, comes off or from the bench, plays about 20, 30 minutes, maybe even lesser. So I think overall, expecting Enciso to maybe get about 100 minutes, 110 minutes, something around that. Yeah, I think that possibly won't even go more than 100 because there's a high chance that he, even if he starts the first game, second game, he gets, subbed off a little bit earlier as well. So possibly about 100 minutes. Safer is maybe Pascal Gross. Even I know they're different positions, but McAllister can also be a better option than NC. So, I mean, if I'm looking at a triple up from Brighton, I think the ideal triple up is still McAllister, Mitoma, and, Estupinian. I still feel, I know that the defense doesn't really have a lot of potential this week, but I still feel it's the better triple up to go for. Great, guys. That's deadline. I hope you were able to save your teams. I hope you were able to fix up your captaincy, make your transfers. Let me know who you went for, Wilson or Isak, and if that player is your captain. I have gone for Isak. He's my captain for this week. Let's really, really hope that Isak starts both. I mean, I'm okay if Wilson doesn't start one. I still feel he's going to start at least one. But yeah, that's what it is. And yeah, I think Isak is a safe option. I think I know that the moment he shifts on that left side, or maybe he starts on the left side, his goal threat definitely reduces, but then his overall goal involvement and his his assist potential increases. So it's not like to like increase in terms of losing something and then increasing something, but I still feel that just gives us enough potential for Isak. Maybe not as explosive as Wilson, because we've seen that Wilson, even if he starts on the bench, he can get goals. So let's see. I think it's going to be an interesting week. Lots to ponder upon in terms of the upcoming game week as well. Hopefully, I'm better and I'm able to push out a little bit more content this week. Considering the fact that it's the last double game week of the season. I mean, we've had a lot of double game weeks this season, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do a stream as well next week. My throat, I mean, I think it was pretty fine. Didn't cough a lot, so I think it should be okay by next week. Thank you so much again for joining the stream. Thank you so much for all your questions. I hope this was helpful and useful. If you're new around here, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please make sure that you subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel. Please hit the like button as well. Hit this like button on the stream. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And any love and any support that you can show us is very, very appreciated there as well. I've transferred Wilson and captain him. Absolutely fine. I think it's a great move. Great. With that, I think I'll just end it here and I'll call it a day. Do watch the matches and definitely watch the first match, because it's gonna be make or break for a lot of people there. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope to see you around next week as well. Have a good time, keep smiling, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.